It is good to be in the house of labor. It is good to see each and every one of you. I come here, Mr. President, and to all of the officers and leaders of this great union, to say thank you. Because if it hadn't been for you and organized labor in general, I wouldn't be standing here as a member of the House of Representatives. I said thank you. Now, I didn't grow up in a big city like Chicago. I didn't grow up in a big city like New York, or Buffalo, Detroit, or Savannah, or Montgomery, or Birmingham. I grew up in rural Alabama, 50 miles from Montgomery, outside of a little place called Troy. My father was a sharecropper, a tenant farmer. But back in 1944, when I was 4 years old, and I do remember when I was 4, how many of you remember when you were 4 years old? What happened to the rest of us? Well, my father had saved $300, and with the $300, he bought 110 acres of land, and on this farm, we raised a lot of cotton and corn, peanuts, hogs, cows, and chickens. And it was my responsibility to care for the chickens as a little boy. I fell in love with raising chickens. I know most of you don't know anything about raising chickens. You know something about Kentucky Fried, or Popeyes, or Chick-fil-A. But you don't know anything about raising chickens. Let me tell you, some of you can raise a lot of fuss. Some of you can be very dramatic. Some of you can organize the unorganized and mobilize people. Yes. Some of you know when it is to speak up and speak out, to stand up, stand out, and to get in the way. But you don't know anything about raising chickens. Well, as a little boy, I used to take the fresh eggs and mark them with a pencil, place them under the setting hen, and wait for 3 long weeks for the little chicks to hatch. And then when those little chicks were hatched, I would take these little chicks and give them to another hen. Get some more fresh eggs and mark them with a pencil, place them under the setting hen, and encourage that setting hen to stay on the nest for another 3 weeks. I kept on fooling and cheating on these setting hens. And when I look back on it, it was not the right thing to do. It was not the moral thing to do. It was not the most loving thing to do. It was not the most nonviolent thing to do. It was not the most democratic thing to do. But I was never quite able to save $18.98 to order the most inexpensive hatcher or incubator from the Sizzle Roebuck store. Any of you old enough to remember the Sizzle Roebuck catalog? That big book, that thick book, that heavy book. We called it the ordering book, and some of us called it the wish book. I wish I had this, I wish I had that. So I just kept on wishing. But as a little boy, about 8 or 9 years old, I wanted to be a minister. So from time to time, with the help of my brothers and sisters and my cousins, we would gather all of our chickens together in the chicken yard, like you would gather here in this hall. And my brothers and sisters and cousins would line the outside of the chicken yard, but they would help make up the audience, the congregation. And then I would start speaking or preaching. And when I look back on it, some of these chickens would bow their heads. Some of these chickens would shake their heads. They never quite said amen. But I'm convinced that the great majority of those chickens that I preached to during the 40s and the 50s tended to listen to me much better than the majority of my colleagues listen to me today in the Congress. As a matter of fact, some of those chickens were just a little more productive. At least they produce eggs. Now, you have great leadership in this great union. I want to salute and praise all of the Walmart workers for not giving up, for not giving in, for keeping the faith, for keeping your eyes on the prize. When I was growing up and would visit the little town of Troy, visit Montgomery, visit Birmingham, when I went away as a student in Nashville, I would come home and ask my mother, my father, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, why? Why segregation? Why racial discrimination? They would say, that's the way it is. Don't get in the way, don't get in trouble. But one day I heard about Rosa Parks. I heard the words of Martin Luther King Jr. on our radio. And I was inspired to get in trouble, to get in the way. I got in good trouble. I got in necessary trouble. It's time for organized labor and all of us to get in good trouble again. Get in trouble. Stir up things. You got to continue to get out there and push and pull. I mark what you're doing. You're leading the way. You're helping to make a way out of no way. Continue to be brave and courageous. Continue to have what I call raw courage. The president told you that a few short years ago, when I had all of my hair and a few pounds lighter, I went on something called a freedom ride. I was beaten, left bloody, but I didn't give up. Went to jail 40 times. I didn't give up. We didn't have a website. We didn't have a cellular telephone. We didn't have a fax machine. Never heard of an iPad, internet. But we used what we had. Another generation of workers, another generation of organizers got out there, and you must continue to get out there and push and pull. Fifty years ago, when we marched on Washington for jobs and freedom, I remember speaking. I spoke number 6. Dr. King spoke number 10. And out of the 10 people that spoke that day, I'm the only one still around. But I remember saying, we marched today for jobs and freedom, but we don't have anything to be proud of. For too many of our brothers and sisters cannot be here, but they are receiving starvation wages or no wages at all. 50 years later, there are too many people. They're black, they're white, they're Latino, they're Asian American, they're Native American that have been left out and left behind. That's not right, that's not fair, that's not just, and we have to do something about it. As one member of Congress, I am ready to fight with you. I am ready to picket with you. I'm ready to march with you. I'm not too old to sit down, to sit in, to stand up and stand out and speak up and speak out. So call on us. Now I know the speaker was here, and I know she did a beautiful job. We need to make her speaker again. We need to get something done in the Congress. We need to have comprehensive immigration reform. Tell the people on the other side of the aisle to bring it to the floor and give us the vote. Let us vote for it, and we will pass it. It's long overdue. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense in a country like our country for millions of our fellow human beings to be living in the shadow. Bring people out into the light. These are our brothers and sisters. For in the final analysis, we are one people, we are one family, and we are one house. I know here in this union, along with some others, you're concerned about the impact of the Affordable Care Act will have on part-time workers. I hope within the next few days to have a conversation with the President of the United States and say to the President, let's fix it and fix it for the part-time workers. Let's do it. We must do it. We must fix it. Now, there are some forces in the Congress want to take us back, but we're not going back. I happen to believe that health care is a right, and it's not a privilege. We all must have good health care. And all of our children must receive a good and great education. But we need resources, and that's why Walmart workers must receive the compensation and the pay and the respect that they are due. All of us. So I said to you, don't give up. Don't give in. Don't get lost in a sea of despair. Keep the faith and keep your eyes on the prize, and never, ever lose hope. Tell you one little story. I know you have a busy agenda. You've had a lot of people to come and speak, and more are going to come. When I was growing up outside of Troy, Alabama, 50 miles from Montgomery on that farm, I had an aunt by the name of Sneva. And my Aunt Sneva lived in what we call a shotgun house. How many of you ever seen a shotgun house? Don't fool me. You never seen a shotgun house. You don't even know what I'm talking about. My Aunt Sneva didn't have a green manicured lawn, had a simple plain dirt yard. And sometime at night, you can look up through the holes in the ceiling, through the holes in the tin roof, and count the stars. Whenever it rains, she would get a pail, a bucket, or a tub and catch the rainwater. From time to time, she would walk out into the woods and cut branches from a dogwood tree and tie these branches together and make a broom. And she called that broom the breast broom. And she would sweep this dirt yard very clean, sometime 2 and 3 times a week, especially on a Friday or Saturday, because she wanted the dirt yard to look good on the weekend. But those of you who may not know what a shotgun house is, in the nonviolent sense of the old house, one way in, one way out, where you can bounce a basketball through the front door and it will go straight out the back door. My Aunt Sneva lived in a shotgun house. But one Saturday afternoon, a group of my brothers and sisters and a few of my fresh cousins, about 12 or 15 of us young children, were out playing in my Aunt Sneva dirt yard. And an unbelievable storm came up. The wind started blowing, the thunder started rolling, the lightning started flashing, and the rain started beating on the tin roof of this old shotgun house. My aunt became terrified. She started crying. She thought the old house was going to blow away. She got all of us little children together and told us to hold hands, and we did as we were told. The wind continued to blow. The thunder continued to roll. The lightning continued to flash. And the rain continued to beat on the old house. And when one corner of this old house appeared to be lifting from its foundation, my aunt had us to walk to that side to try to hold the house down with our little bodies. When the other corner appeared to be lifted, she had us to walk to that side. So we were little children walking with the wind, but we never, ever left the house. I said to you, the wind may blow, the thunder may roll, the lightning may flash, and people at Walmart may try to discourage you, but never give up. Never leave the house. Stay together, walk together, struggle together, and in the end, you will win. You will win because history is on your side. Hang in there and keep the faith. May God bless you.